Hello dear one, this is Maria here. Today is November 26, 2021, and today I would like to talk about dimensions, frequency, vibration, and the map of consciousness by Dr. David Hawkins. So first, what is vibration? When you talk about vibration, the first thing you think it's about a sound. And let's think about a sound. A sound will have vibration, will vibrate, and depending on how many times it's vibrate per second, it will fall in a frequency. So, but only sounds have frequency? No, actually everything in the universe has a vibration and a frequency. So one of the best frequencies that you can be exposed to is the 432 Hertz, and that vibration, somebody say that's the vibration of the universe. And if you listen to that vibration, you can find many videos in YouTube that that vibration for like 1 hour or even more. If you expose yourself to listen to this vibration, it will balance your energetic body on a cellular level. Because as I told before, everything in the universe is connected. So we are connected to the universe also. Our mind, our body, we are all connected. So are you gonna put a link of a video that I found about vibration that I found interesting? So now let's talk about dimension. There is a link between all of that. When you think of dimension, let's put it in a very simple way. A zero dimension will be just one dot. There is a dot, and let's say if that person lives in that dot, she could go nowhere. She would be just standing in that dot. And one dimension is like a line. If you live in one dimension, you can only go back and forth. And then you have the second dimension. Imagine like a flat plane. It can be like a triangle, but imagine like a square, a flat square. So if a person lives in second dimension, that person would be able just to go back and forth, right or left. And then there is the third dimension. That's the dimension we live. That's introduce the height. So they are the 3D objects. So you can go forward, backwards, right, left, up and down. That's the third dimension, and that's where we live. And then you have the fourth dimension. That's when you introduce time to the equation. And a being that can vibrate in the fourth dimension, it can travel to time or jump in between times and in between dimensions. But of course, if you are vibrating in the fourth dimension, you can only go in between the fourth dimension down. You cannot go up if you are vibrating in the fourth dimension. And then the fifth dimension, that's where our Earth is going. Earth is become a fifth dimensional being. Right now, we are still living in the third dimension, but we are going to live in the fifth dimension pretty soon. And on the fifth dimension, things get less physical. It's a lower density. So, for example, our bodies will be lighter than it is right now. I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but we'll just give a simple concept and then we can talk more about later on. And then you have the sixth dimension. That's when that's you're gonna have the time travel. There is the equation of time, and that's when the parallel universe starts, like the multiverse, the quantum world. That's very complicated. We don't need to talk about that right now. If you are curious, you might be able to find some good videos talking about that. And from the sixth dimension, you can also jump in between timelines and between universes and dimensions. Things get a little bit complicated. And then you have from the fifth to the eighth dimension, you have lighter and lighter physical bodies. When you go to the ninth dimension, you get a completely different set of law of physics. There is no physical bodies like we conceive on the ninth dimension. And the third dimension, as I mentioned before, that's the first dimension where God resides. God resides from the 13th dimension and up. And I can't really conceive how many dimensions there are. Maybe it's infinite, who knows. But let's put our mind only until the 13th right now. And thinking that we are third dimensional beings right now. And we are working to become a fifth dimensional beings. So, what to decide that we are in the third dimension, fifth dimension, or whatever dimension we are? So, sorry, my rights here. A doctor called David Hawkins, he created the map of consciousness. So, it goes from 1 to 1,000. He said that on Earth, our physical body can only perceive up to the 1,000 frequency, and the lowest that you can perceive is the 20, the frequency of 20. That's shame, and anything below 20, it's about destruction of life. So, and then you go up, let me just remember that our vibration depends on our emotions, and our emotions depend on our thoughts and beliefs. So, what you're gonna determine which vibration you are is your emotions. So, 50, a person that's vibrating in 50 is 50 is apathy, and apathy is the loss of feelings and emotions. One person that's vibrating in 50, they have suicidal thoughts because nothing matters for that person anymore. So that person really needs some help at that moment. And then 55, you still doesn't feel, still doesn't have feeling, but then you want to manipulate. You're a manipulator. And then 75 is grief. And then fear is 100. But when we talk about that fear, is the false evidence appearing real. It's not that fear when you are in front of the tiger. That fear of 100, unfortunately, that's where most of humankind has been in the last centuries. And then when you get to 200, it's courage. And the 200, when you are having thoughts of 200, actually is the first thoughts that you realize that you are not alone, that you are not separated from God. So, for example, if you are very fearful and then you start to pray, your decision to start praying, you already believe that you are not alone, that there is God, or there is angels, or there is anything that you can count on. So you already realize you're not alone. And then 250 is neutrality. Neutrality is your vibration is kind of your natural vibration. Is not good and not bad. And then you go 350 is acceptance. When you accept things as they are, and then you are ready for change, you are ready to improve, for improvement. And then the 400 is the intellectual reason. And 500, that's the point you want to be when Earth becomes a fifth dimensional being, is love. When you're vibrating in love, you are connected to God. That's the first indication that you are connected to God. And from 500 up, you're just getting more connected to God. 540 is joy. You just feel joy to be alive. I'm not talking about the physical pleasures. I'm talking about the real joy that comes from your heart, from your mind, from your peace of mind. And talking about peace, you get the 600. 600 is peace. And that's very interesting, Maria, but when I'm vibrating in fear, am I vibrating in fear all the time? No. Every time you change your thought, even if you change your thought from thought of fear to courage, to a prayer, and then you raise your vibration. If you go from fear to grief, like that victimhood, why that happened to me, why that happened to that, what I lost that, and then you go even down. So it's your free will to decide whether if you want to go up on the vibrational scale or you want to go down. And when you are vibrating in 50, it's really hard because more you vibrate in 50, less disconnected you are. And then you really need something that from outside most of the time to really get you out of that. Or I don't know, it can even be yourself, but something you really need in a big trouble at that moment. But when you get to reason, many people get to reason and stay there because, and then they start to focus on other stuff like getting more money, getting this or that. If they don't go down to fear, to the fear of losing the money, they still keep their vibration. But happiness really starting happening when you experience love. That's when you really start to experience happiness. And higher you go, easier gets to hold your vibration high. So a person that is vibrating in 600, they are really in a space, in a place of mind, in a very peaceful place of mind. They started to see things in a very different way. And so when somebody does something to them that before, when they were vibrating in neutrality or courage or fear, they will have a different reaction, and that reaction will cause an emotion that wasn't positive. But they start to see things in a different way. That person that did that, she's only responds to an external thing that happened, and they are responding based on the amount of knowledge and light that their soul can hold at that moment. So, and then you will start to be more forgiving and more understanding. So it's easier and easier to hold more light and more light, especially because when you're experiencing fear and you drop to neutrality, you're not gonna like it. If you experience peace, let's say 60% of the time, and you have 1 minute of fear, you're not gonna like it. You're gonna do the work. You're gonna pay attention in your mind and do the work and not to drop that far anymore, because you're gonna know the difference. And then 700 is enlightenment. I'm gonna talk about enlightenment, awakening, ascension path later on. And then 1000, Dr. Hawkins said that on Earth, at least when Earth was vibrating at the third dimension, we could only reach 1000 as a human being. And guess who was born in 1000, lived vibrating 1000, and died vibrating 1000? Jesus. So I really find that fascinating, and depend on more you rise your vibration, more connected to God you are, and more of the attributes of God you are able to remember that you have and use. So right now on Earth, there are people that are vibrating on the 5th dimension, 7th dimension, or even more, and those people are able to do all those amazing things as time travel, travel between multi-universe and dimensions. But we can leave that for later, because that's very complicated. Even for me, it's still very complicated. So that's all. I think that was important to talk about that, because next time that I'm gonna talk about meditation and how to rise your vibration, so you understand what's the relation between vibration, between dimensions, and the frequency that you are emitting based on your vibrations. So thank you very much, and much love and light to you.